We have here a 1987 Nissan 300ZX, heavily modified hot rod version. I've had this car for about 23 years, and throughout that time it's gone through various iterations. It's been through all sorts of paint jobs and add-ons and body kits. Of course, it has a little bit of a Fast and Furious flavor, but as I will show you here shortly, it is anything but all show and no go. So first of all, what you'll notice is the body kit. This is a custom body kit. It was a designed and made by Mark Hawkins in Terre Haute, Indiana, back in 2002. The top part here is modeled after the stock, pretty much a replica of the top piece. And then we have a molded lower half of the front fascia. These are side markers from, I believe, a Honda Accord. And we do have some lower fog lights here. Those are stock headlight assemblies. We have our fireplace grill for the mesh. Original version of this build, we did have side skirts, some fiberglass side skirts on here, but it rusted out, so we had to replace them with stock. Also, one of the original builds, we had louvered fenders, vented fenders right there, and because the fiberglass rusted out at the bottom of the fender, we had to replace the whole fender with stock. So front fascia is not molded on. It is simply bolted on. You do mold it on, there's no way to access any of the cooling system and the radiator and stuff. These wheels were put on a 1984 Z about 20 years ago that had a rebuilt motor. Problem was the body was rusted all to hell in Indiana. So to salvage the motor and to keep the new wheels, we found another body, which is this body, the 87, and we transferred all that over. So we took the rebuilt motor and put it in this body, and we swapped out the hubs on the 84 into this 87. So that's a hub swap, not just the wheels. Fuel injector recall, and the reason why is because when you park these bastards, the fuel injectors would leak, and if it was hot enough, they would catch fire. So this body was actually a victim of one of those circumstances. So they did not do the factory recall on this car, and the motor caught on fire due to leaking fuel injectors. So we are able to find this body with a burnt up motor, and like I said, we swapped in our rebuilt motor and swapped out the wheel hubs. Here we had originally a fiberglass rear valance, at least back on the rear fenders here, and that also rusted out long ago. Fiberglass was removed, that was all cancerous, so this all had to be rebuilt. So this is all custom sheet metal that was welded in there and forged. We try to maintain the line along the bottom and a line in the middle there. The ass end here, of course, is also custom. That's all sheet metal. So the rear bumper was removed, all the supports were removed, and we have a custom license plate holder and a half crescent moon piece that rolls up underneath. And then we have a nice little lip there for the exhaust. Kaminari wing, so that's a body kit from Japan, molded in, flares on the back, and then the middle piece is sheet metal. Have this hood scoop that is not for looks, that is fully functional. Been fiberglass molded in there. I believe that's from a late 70s Corvette. I think it's called a teardrop hood. There is no door handles, so those were shaved, and I highly recommend not doing that. It is horrible because we do have door poppers. So you hit a little button on your key fob and the doors open up. It sounds cool until they break, and then it's not cool anymore. This is a 350 V8 small block. When we put that rebuilt motor in, like I was saying, I ran the hell out of it for 10-15 years. We got over 250,000 miles on it. So rather than fixing the stock motor, we put in this Summit crate motor, and now we have a hot rod. This original stock hood was carved out, and we put the fiberglass piece in its place to give clearance for the air filter, and it is open up in the back. Did put in 2 fans, so The stock fan assembly for the Z31 just has one, and it's smaller, so those are aftermarket fans. Fan controller box. These are very important on these motors because they will instantly overheat. Pretty simple. You can see here, there's just a small little probe right there. It just fits into the fins of the radiator. And there's a control knob on the fan controller box of when you want the fan to engage, depending on what temperature the radiator gets. So we have the large upper radiator hose, top mount thermostat. The cool thing about these motors, like any old guy will tell you, is they're super easy to work on because you can access basically anything. There's a lot of room to drop your wrench and stick your hand down in there and so on. We do have a custom-made transmission fluid dipstick. It's our oil dipstick, manifolds, and we did have to replace the fuel pump. There's a fuel filter, external, so you can see the fuel flowing through there. The alternator is super easy to access, as you can see, top mount, and it's been timed and recalibrated and cleaned and replaced and, you know, all sorts of shit over the last 20 years. But I'll tell you what, which did the most good and to stabilize it was actually putting in a premium fuel. So when I ran regular fuel or the mid-grade fuel, it still did all the stuttering and stalling problems, but premium fuel is the trick. These are custom door cards. The armrest here is stock, and the window control buttons are also stock. Locking mechanism is also stock. We had this form-fitted diamond plated insert, custom diamond plate door seals, and floor mats. We put in the 700R4 3-speed automatic. That is a Corvette shifter. These seats are actually from a Ford Probe. Lap belts only. So all the seatbelt assembly that was here on the side of the door, the B pillar, has been removed. Ford was pulled apart several times to reinstall this into this car. And when we reinstalled it, it was wrapped with this, it's actually a 2-layer cloth. There's some silver sparkly shit underneath there, and got some black velvet see-through leopard junk on the top. And this was done by my ex-girlfriend back in 2005, and she's now in prison doing a 30-year bit for attempted murder and kidnapping. So I decided just to leave that in there, you know, just for posterity's sake. So she actually did this. She did this back in 2005, and I just left it in there. So this is the way it originally looked. So it's more dark, and you can see you got the silver glitter going on up in there. Oh yeah. So the headliner is, the whole thing was wrapped in that stuff. Digital gauge cluster. I prefer these over to analog. I do have an analog Z. It's the 85 turbo I posted earlier, and I prefer this digital gauge cluster better. As far as the engine swap goes, everything is still functional. You have aftermarket stereo, but this is super ancient. That is, I don't even know how old that is, probably 2009, 2010, something like that. Doesn't have the USB slot, of course, so it's pretty dated. Not very powerful, but we do got custom diamond plate all over the place. Look at, and glove box, and of course got some more over here. But so that's good 16, 18 years old stereo setup. So this is new carpet. This is a carpet kit. Before I had that black leopard stuff. See, I had this. This is all in the back too. I even wrapped the sub box, had a pad back here. This is all wrapped. So one of the good features about the Z31 is these hatches are really light in comparison to like the 91s and the Z32s. So this does not add a lot of weight at all. You can see when you close it. All right. So we do have a flashing E. It means I'm empty, but you can see I got 3 bars of gas. I'm not entirely sure how accurate that particular gauge is, but the other ones are pretty good. We have our temperature gauge. That fan will be kicking on very soon, like I said. We have oil pressure and battery voltage. We have the tachometer in the middle. So this gives you the number readout, and this is kind of like a bar graph that shows you as you accelerate and it goes up.